right, good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to the Denali special webinar for Wednesday, June 24th, 2015. Today we're going to be talking about a new feature that's now available in Denali. It's a way that you can set up the sales module to automatically calculate the sales tax for you. Typically, the way it's done now is the sales tax calculation is done automatically at the time of the sale, but you have to enter all of the information manually on how that calculation is done. So we are taking the manual out of sales tax processing to make even the setup easy for you, and also the tax updates automatically have those go through as well. So we'll be talking about that today. My name is Jeremy Beislein. I am a trainer here at Cougar Mountain Software, and I will be your presenter today. We ask that if you have any comments or questions that you put those comments or questions in the chat, and at the end of the webinar we will go ahead and address any questions you have, and I'll try to get those answered. If we run out of time before I get through with all the questions, we'll be sure to post the remaining questions and answers on the website after when we post the recording, as we record our webinars for you to view later. Okay, with that we'll go ahead and get started. So today's agenda, we're going to talk about the Denali sales tax codes and just kind of give a review on how the current system works in Denali. But then we're going to talk about the new automated sales tax system. What we've done is we've partnered with Avatax, and they have a system called Avatax that automates the sales tax for you in Denali sales. So you don't have to worry about updating your sales tax rates and all that like you do now with the sales tax codes. We'll go through the way Avatax is set up in Denali, and we'll show you some examples of how Avatax will automatically calculate the sales tax for each sales based on the criteria of the sale. We'll go over the various sales tax reports and how you can automate the sales tax payments and filings with your state tax agencies. And then we'll go ahead and finish it up at the end with your questions and answers. Okay, so with that, we'll go ahead and get started. So right now in Denali, the sales tax processing is done with the sales tax codes. Those of you who currently use Denali, you'll probably recognize this sales tax code setup screen. Those who are new to Denali, basically what you do is you set up a sales tax code, and then you set up the various tiers of the sales tax to give you a total sales tax that will be charged using that sales tax code, as you can see here. Those sales tax tiers can be broken out by county, state, or local, or any other system, such as in our example here. In King County, they have a stadium tax for the new Seattle Seahawks Stadium that they charge for, and it's part of your sales tax when you purchase items, and that can all be set up for you in Denali. Now, if those rates ever change, you have to open this tax code in Denali and update those tax rates. So anytime you get tax updates or tax changes, those taxes have to be updated manually in Denali under the sales tax code so that Denali will calculate the correct sales tax rate for all sales. This a little zoomed up a little bit in there. But now, with the new Avatax system, we don't need to calculate the sales tax anymore and figure out the tax rates, because Avatax does that for us. We don't have to manually put in those tax codes every time the state sends you a notice that those tax rates are going to be changing on a specific date, and then we don't have to remember the day and go in and change those tax rates on the tax codes. That is now a thing of the past if you're using the new Avatax system. With Avatax, Denali will automatically calculate the taxes for you based on the current tax system. Also, it will calculate the taxes for you based on the location of your business and or the location of the customer that you're selling to. So we'll talk about that, how the Avatax will automate the sales tax calculations and tax rates for you. Avatax is a third-party software or a third-party system that is done by Avatax. Avatax is the company who does Avatax. They make the sales tax less taxing, as you can see there. And the Avatax system is fully integrated in Denali sales. It's an online taxing system that gives you real-time sales tax calculations at the time of the sale. So you don't have to put in the code prior to as part of the setup and then have to go in and change that code every time the tax rate changes. Now, with Avatax, it is a real-time tax calculation at the time of the sale, and it will give you the up-to-date real-time tax rate for the tax jurisdiction that is needed for that sale. And it works in all tax jurisdictions in the United States and Canada. So what's great about that is you can set up your sales to sell to any customers nationwide and even in Canada, and Avatax will automatically calculate the tax rate for that jurisdiction. And we'll go over that in more detail when I get into the settings there. Avatax is also designed to automatically exempt sales from sales tax for those customers who are tax exempt based on their tax exempt certificates. Avatax is also designed to automatically calculate and submit your sales tax returns to the tax authorities, the tax agencies that you have to file those returns with every month or every quarter, depending on who it is. Avatax can also be set up to automatically calculate the tax liability payments so that you won't need to manually submit those payments to the taxing authorities. That's great if you're dealing with multiple taxing agencies through multiple jurisdictions that are selling to multiple states. You can simplify that process just by submitting your payment with your return to Avalara, and they will take care of it for you. All right, so with that, we're going to go ahead and switch over to Denali here, and we're going to go over the different options that you have for Avatax. All right, so I've got my Denali sales module here, the point of sale system. Now, when you set up Avatax, the first thing you have to do is register an account with Avalara and subscribe to their Avatax service. And once that's done, then you come into Denali and you go to the options menu here and you set up your Avatax integration. This option will be available with the next upcoming release in Denali. And you bring up this set up Avatax integration, and this is where you put in all of your information. You put in your Avalara account number here, your Avatax license key for the Avalara system, and your Avatax company code. Then you also put in the Avatax website, depending on which website they give you. All of this information is going to be given to you from Avalara when you sign up and register with them. You can also set up a local URL if you want to set that up through Avalara to where it basically puts the Avatax URL on your local server in your office. Now once you've set everything up, you can validate the credentials here, and when you click on that, you get this message that says the connection to Avatax was successful. So as you can see, this is fully integrated real time with Avatax, with Avalara online. And we can see that we've got our information put in correctly, so now our connection is successful. You can also use this button here in Denali to open the Avatax console that you have set up. And of course, when you open it, you have to log in with your username and password. Once you've entered your username and password that's set up from Avatax, you just click login, and this takes you to your company dashboard through Avalara Avatax. You'll get your service notices here, your tax summary here, which gives you a summary of the total tax information so far for the current month or quarter. But what's nice about this is you can go down here, the Help Center. This right here is where Avatax gives you all of the different information you need to set up your account online with Avatax. Once you get on here, you can look at the different information. You can go through the Getting Started tutorial if needed. But this right here will also pop up when you first sign up with Avatax as well, and it jumps into here to show you where you're at from the link in Denali. So we're just going to minimize that and go back to Denali for a moment. You've got some other optional settings here that you can set up in Denali for enforcing use of Avatax. That's if you want to enforce all sales to use Avatax to calculate sales, and it basically locks out any other tax codes, and Avatax will be the only option for sales tax calculations. You can disable Avatax commitment, which basically turns off the committed option. Whenever you enter a sale in Denali, it commits that tax to Avalara at the time the sale is, as soon as you hit that tender button in Denali. You can disable that and only commit that at the time of posting by checking this box here. That way, if you're just testing sales out or you void sales, those items will not be tracked in Avalara. Enable address validation. What that does is Avalara will validate the address that you are using to calculate the tax through the U.S. Postal Service to make sure that that is a valid address. And then you can also use Avatax when importing from external file. That is designed if you have a UBridge transaction import through your Denali sales module. After you import the transaction, the transactions, you can use Avatax to calculate the sales tax on those imported transactions if needed. This is where you put your liability account for any sales tax that is calculated for each sale. Now, if you have accounts payable integration turned on, you would put the tax vendor here instead. Now, what's nice about Avatax that we'll talk about in a moment is you can set it up to where Avatax will be your tax vendor if you're dealing with multiple taxing agencies, and they will take care of paying those agencies for you. You just submit your tax returns and payments to them, and they take over from there and take care of that. Now, the backup tax code is designed for if you lose your internet connection for some reason or your connection to Avatax. Because since this is real-time tax processing, you don't want the system to crash on you or give you an error at the time of the sale to not allow the sale to process just because of a network connection loss, of a network connection issue. So you can put in a backup tax code, which basically this brings up all of your sales tax codes that you can set up in Denali, and you basically set up a tax code where you estimate the tax for your local business, and it will use that tax code to give you an estimated tax calculation at the time of the sale. However, at posting, when you post the batch at the end of the day, Denali will make the connection to Avatax and correct any sales tax if needed. If there is a difference in the estimate based on the actual, Denali will just deduct that difference from the revenue of the sale or add it into the revenue of the sale if the difference ends up being a negative. Basically, if the tax calculation is less than what the estimate was, it will just add that to your revenue side of the sale. If it's more, it'll deduct it from the revenue. This is your business address that you put in. And what's nice about this is with Denali, you can validate the business address by clicking this button here, and it says the address has been validated. Now, when you're entering your sales, you can select to calculate the tax based on the business address or based on the customer's shipping address. For order entry, that is very handy for shipping address if you're dealing with sales that you're shipping out to other tax jurisdictions, and you need to calculate the sales tax based on that customer's shipping address that you're sending that shipment to, instead of on your business address, which is this address up here. Because Avatax will take over and it will calculate the tax rate based on the address instead of based on the specific tax codes that the old system used. That way you get the correct tax calculation in the jurisdiction for that address. At the bottom here you have a tax display time. What happens is when you calculate sales tax, it will pop up a little display to show you that that tax is what the tax calculation is, and this is how long that display will stay on your screen before it goes away. And you can change that to 10 seconds, 30 seconds, however long you want that to be. All right, once you've set up your Avatax setup there, then the next thing you will do is if you have any tax-exempt customers, you'll switch over to accounts receivable. And we've got some new fields in the accounts receivable setup now for your customers that you can put in their tax-exempt status here. It's basically just their exempt certificate number that you put here. And Avatax will validate that certificate in real time at the time of the sale. And if that certificate is valid, then Avatax will exempt that sale from any sales tax. You can also put in their valid tax ID here and also their entity use code from Avatax that you get. That will go here as well. So this information is used to validate the tax exempt status on all sales that you're doing for this customer. And once you've got your exempt status set up, and you can do that and add the exempt status anytime you add a new customer that is exempt from sales tax. Once you've got that all set up, then you are ready to go. We are now ready to set up, or we are now ready to start processing sales through Denali Point of Sale or the order entry system. Avatax works with both systems, and it will automatically calculate the sales. So let's look at that and see how that works. Let's go ahead and enter a sale. We're going to log into our cash register here in the Denali Point of Sale system. And here we go. Let's go ahead and put our customer in that we're selling to. We're going to sell to auto sort there. Good. Go down here. Now, you can see that by default, the tax is based on the business address, which is our company, not the customer's address. Or, for this sale, we can say we're going to base this tax on the shipping address instead of the business address. So you can select that here right on the sale, but the default is business address for point of sale as we have set up in the settings. So if we switch that to shipping address, now it's going to default the tax based on the shipping address. Well, the shipping address is Boise, Idaho, which is also our business address. So let's find another customer that we can use. I don't know if I have any customers that are outside of Boise. That would be nice. Oh, there we go. Tacoma, Washington. That's a good one. So we have a customer here. We're going to do the sales tax based on the shipping address. This is going to be Bill, strange last name, I can't pronounce it, so I won't even try. All right, so now we'll put in our items we're selling to this customer. Let's just sell him a chair, one swivel. We're going to sell him 5 of those. So our total sale comes to $321.50, but down here at the bottom, you'll see in the tax field it says not yet calculated. So in order to calculate the tax, we just click tender, and bam, oh, it's going to ask us to put in our extra descriptions for our items first, so we put those in. And then it also adds freight. We put in the freight for the item because we're going to ship these items to this customer. So when I click tender, then now you can see the tax automatically calculated based on the customer's shipping address in Tacoma, Washington. So it's using the Tacoma, Washington tax rates for that customer in that jurisdiction when I calculate the tax, because I've selected shipping address up here, as you can see. Now, with the tender amount, we've got the total balance due, which includes the tax that's automatically calculated. So I can go ahead and tender this out, do a total tender, and process the sale. Or if I change this to the business address, I want to calculate this based on the business address instead. Then when I click tender, it's going to update, and now you notice the tax changed from 32 something to only 19 something, because in Idaho, our business, the Idaho sales tax rate is much lower than Washington sales tax rate. So now we are going to re-tender the sale, and we're going to tender it out for the correct amount. Or if the customer gives me $400, then I can give the customer change due. So now we're doing it based on the business address. If you change any information on the sale, if I hit cancel and change any information on the sale, then Denali will automatically query Avatax to recalculate the tax for that sale as soon as I hit that tender button. And then there we have it. So now when I save that sale, it tells me I need to pay my customer $34.21 due, which has everything calculated, and it's now good to go. All right, so we have now processed our sale, so we can verify the accuracy, which will show all of the information for the sale and the tax. You can also run the regular sales tax reports that you already have available in Denali for today, or let's just run it for unposted. We're only going to look at unposted transactions at this point. And this will show you the correct tax calculation that Avatax sent back to us, and it will include that amount on this report here. After we post this sale, we can switch this to posted, and it will show that information there. So here is our total sales that we have for this tax code here, and this is the total sales tax amount. So our tax code is Avatax. That's one thing that I wanted to let you know. If you set up Avatax in Denali, Denali will automatically create the Avatax tax code for you. And there are no settings for that tax code because it just bypasses the Denali tax code settings, and it takes all the information from Avatax. So on our tax report, we can see the correct tax that was calculated from Avatax, and the total sales. Now, to get a breakdown of jurisdictions, you just simply go into the Avatax website and you will see the detail. You can log in by opening your administration console here, which we are now open. We already had it open, so we'll just pop it back up again here. And then you can go here to your transactions, and this will give you a breakdown of all of the information for all the transactions that are posted, individual transactions. You can also go to any other reports, and you can run your various reports, tax return reports, reconcile reports, all the different reports, and these can be run based on the different jurisdictions you have as well. Now, this is all done in Avatax. This is outside of Denali at this point. Denali has already posted the information to Avatax, and they take over from there. And so as you can see, it's just a web-based application. Tax returns, this is the thing that's great about Avatax. You can now file your tax returns, and you can even pay your sales tax liability to all of the state taxing authorities and the jurisdictions that Denali automatically calculates. So here we have no records to display because since we're working in the sandbox environment, which is our beta testing environment, that Avalara is so kind to let us use for free, there is no options for filing tax returns. But for the full version of Avatax, you would have those options. You would also have the options to submit the tax payments in here as well. You can look at your liability worksheets, tax notices, filing archive for previously filed returns, and so forth. So you have several options in the Avatax system that's automatically and fully integrated to Denali. But the sale we just posted will be included, or I'm sorry, the sale we just entered will be included in the history up on the Avatax website for your login as soon as we post that sale. As you could see there, we had several others that we had listed there. Let's bring that back up for just a moment. These are all the individual transactions we've already posted. And so you'll have the transaction amount, the non-taxable amount, taxable amount, and the total tax for that sale. You can click on any one of these transactions to get a detailed information for that transaction. And this is all information that posted from Denali, directly from Denali. So these are all of the different features that you can have, well, a few of the features that you can have with Avatax and Avalara. All right, so with that, we'll go ahead and close out of the internet browser, close all tabs here. And all right, so that is pretty much the new system that Denali has now set up for you to use to calculate your sales tax in all of your Denali sales. You no longer have to manually update your tax codes, and you don't have to create multiple tax codes for all of the different jurisdictions that you are liable to pay a sales tax to collect a sales tax from your customers and pay to those jurisdictions. This is very useful for online businesses that use online services where you're selling to customers nationwide, and you must pay a sales tax to several different taxing agencies. Avatax will take care of all that for you. So you no longer have to look up your taxes, go to Google and figure out what the current tax rates are, or keep track of your emails or your notices from your taxing authorities. Avatax takes over and does it all for you. Avatax will do the automatic tax calculations in real time at the time of sale. Avatax will also take over and process your tax returns for you, and you even and will also process your tax liability payments as well. So it's fully automated. So that's what we mean by taking the manual out of sales tax. With Avatax, it is now fully automated. All right, so with that, we'll go ahead and take any questions that we have. Any questions that anyone has so far about the new Denali Avatax system? If so, go ahead and type those in the chat, and I'll go ahead and get those answered for you. Okay, good question from Susan. She says, do you have to purchase Avatax separately, or is it included with Denali? That is a very good question, Susan. The purchase of Avatax is a third-party company, so it is a separate purchase, but contact your sales rep on that because there may be an option to include the Avatax as part of your sales package that you get with Denali, just by adding the fees in or maybe working out some kind of a deal with that. So I'm not sure what the pricing is on that, but you can contact your Denali account representative and they can give you all the information on that. Question from Kathy. How would Avatax pay use tax at the time they pay the sales tax? Very good question, Kathy. Let me just go back into there and show you how that works. When you are setting up Avatax integration, you go into your Avatax. One of the things you must do is set up the different jurisdictions that you are going to be working in. And that's going to be done in the settings, I believe. So we'll switch over to our settings here. Okay, nope, it's under organizations. We'll get it right. Here we go. So here under organizations, you set up your company organization that you're going to be using in Avatax. And then for each organization you set up, over here you would select the jurisdictions that you are going to be working in for those organizations. So the first thing you do is select which countries you're going to be working in. Right now you can choose Canada and or the United States. And then you select the jurisdictions within each of those countries. So here's all of the different jurisdictions. Some jurisdictions are set up to figure the seller use tax as well as the sales tax. And you can set that up with all of the jurisdictions. You can calculate sales tax. You can also have Avatax help you figure out your use tax as well. Now, Denali doesn't automatically calculate the use tax, so the use tax information will have to be figured and submitted to Avatax, and that will then be included in your sales tax liability payments when you pay the sales tax. It will also pay the use tax as well. Within the jurisdictions, you can also go in there. For some states, you've got different jurisdictions that may have different tax rates. For example, here in Idaho, we have certain city taxes that are applicable in some cities and some localities here in Idaho. And then you can also set those up here. And Denali automatically sets them up for you by just selecting all, or you can choose selective to manually set up which jurisdictions you're working in and which ones you're not. So these are all done as part of the Avatax. For further information on that, contact your sales rep, and also you can go to avalera.com to get the information regarding your all of the different services that Avatax and Avalera provides for you on that. Okay, looks like that's all of our questions we have. So, switch back to my presentation here. So, just keep an eye out for our upcoming webinars. I just wanted to point out here, we are pretty much doing webinars on a weekly basis with the odd week off once in a while. Sometimes we need a vacation every now and then. But let me bring up the schedule here. The next webinar we have available, here's today's right here. Taking the manual out of sales tax. So be sure to check back on July 1st. This will be the regular Denali monthly webinar. We're going to talk about different ways to discount in Denali. So we'll talk about the different discount options available in the Denali sales. So be sure to check that out. Webinars are always on Wednesday at 2 p.m. Eastern Time, 11 a.m. Pacific Time. So be sure to check that out. If there's any difference in the schedule, if we have them at different times, we'll be sure to let you know on the website. So go to the website here to be sure to check out the upcoming webinars. All right. If you have any questions or comments, contact your account representative. They can give you all the details on the Avalera system, the Avatax system, along with any other questions and details that you may have about Denali in general. So give them a call. You can also send an email to sales@cougarmountain.com. And with that, I want to thank you all for coming today to the webinar. It's been a great webinar, a great turnout. Thank you all for being here, and be sure to check back with us next time. Keep an eye out for any follow-up communication on the website. Also check your email, and also check out for access to this recorded presentation on the website. Usually we'll have that up within the next week.